My name is Paris. I'm a 32-year-old office employee. I joined this company right after I graduated from college, and this is my 10th year. Now that I think about it, I've been here for a pretty long time. But right now, I'm not thinking about changing jobs. Besides, I think this is a great job for me and I enjoy it. And the CEO and the CEO's wife, the vice president, are all really kind people. The company that I work at is a small family-owned business, so the kindness of the people up top makes it a lot easier for the employees to work well. In that way, this company was a great match for me. I don't have any stress with the people at work and I enjoy working at the office. However, there is just one problem, and that is the salary. The salary is way too low! A family-owned business sounds good to most, but it also means it is a fragile business that can easily be knocked down. According to the vice president who looks after the accounting, recently business hasn't been going too well and that some of the payments are behind already. It's been pretty difficult for us too. If it was up to us, we wish we could give you a better salary. But business has been difficult and we're struggling. We've even decreased all of our salaries because we know we need to pay all of our employees. Every single time that I would ask for a raise, the vice president, who was also the CEO's wife, would apologize to me with tears. When she says it to me like that, there's no way that I could continue to demand a raise. To prioritize a good working environment or a good salary. But if I chose salary here and resigned for the company, I'm sure the CEO and the vice president would be in trouble. Because all of the admin work was handled by me and me only. That was how I felt, and somehow I've dragged it on for 10 years now. And then there was just one other thing that was bothering me about this company. And that would be the CEO and vice president's daughter, Miss Karen. Their daughter was only a few years younger than me. After graduating with an associate's degree from a short-term university, in the last 8 years she's never once worked any job and instead just messes around every day of her life, even though she's already 28 years old. And here she was at the office again today, probably asking her parents for money. Mama! Oh my, Karen, welcome. What's the matter? Tonight, I'm going drinking with my friends, so can I have an allowance? Oh goodness, what are we to do with you? You really shouldn't be wasting too much money, okay? Thanks! There it is! Free income! Anytime that Karen would wander into the office, she would ask her parents for an allowance like this in front of all the employees. It was clear to all of us that the CEO and the vice president both spoiled their daughter, and whatever she asked for, they would give to her without even questioning her at all. Well, it wasn't the company money, and it was nothing for me to chime in about, so I wouldn't never say anything. But I'm pretty sure we could all tell that they spoiled their daughter too much. I'm sure Karen knew that her parents' business wasn't going well from just hearing their stories. I wonder why she doesn't even try to get a job that she can support her family with. But also, well, if she had the ability to think about things like that, then she probably would have started working a long time ago. Even though I could never say anything to them, every single time I saw Miss Karen, I couldn't help but feel bothered by it. However, the CEO, the vice president, and their daughter Karen didn't seem to notice how I felt at all. But then, one day, everybody in the company was out of the office and I was working by myself. When Miss Karen came into the office alone. Hello? Oh, where's my mom? Oh, the vice president has gone to the bank, and the CEO is having a meeting with one of our clients, and all of the other employees are out at the moment, so I'm here alone. Oh, come on! Dad and Mom both aren't here? Then there's no point in here today. I was just trying to get some more allowance from them. Oh, hey, Miss Page, look. This is the brand new purse from the huge brand. Isn't it gorgeous? I fell in love at first sight and I bought it. But that's why I'm totally out of my allowance this month. What am I gonna do? Well, what are you going to do? Well, why don't you get a job and make some money yourself? I wanted to scream at her, but all I could do was laugh dryly. But you know what? Miss Paris, you're older than me, right? Are you sure you're always okay with looking so plain all the time? You could at least have one high brand item, don't you think? Once you pass the age of 30, if you don't have proper things on you, people are gonna laugh at you. As if to look down on me, Karen laughed and it irritated me. The reason why I can't buy any high brand items is because the salary that your parents pay me is way too low. If anyone's gonna get laughed at, it's you, who's close to 30 and still unemployed and going out like a college student. I screamed that on the inside, but I didn't say a word outside. She was the CEO's daughter after all, so I could never say that out loud. Oh no! It's already time. I'm supposed to meet them. I'm gonna go now. If Mom comes, let her know that I came by and tell her that I'm gonna pay for my drinks tonight with the company card. As Miss Karen said that, she hurried out the door. The company card? Is that the woman planning on paying for her own drinks as a company expense? If the CEO and the vice president have agreed to this, then there's no way that as a normal employee I could ever say anything. I know that, but... Ugh! However, the more irritated I got with Miss Karen, I also started to feel sympathy towards the CEO and the vice president. No matter how hard they've worked to run their business, their useless daughter just sucks up all of their money. Even though they are financially pressured, they can't say anything to their own daughter, and I felt bad for the both of them. However, I was about to find out that was making a big mistake. On that day, I was working in the office as usual. I'm exhausted. I finally finished the year-end review. Here, this is your tax withholding slip for the year, Mrs. Paris. The vice president handed me my tax withholding slip for the last year. However, when I looked at it, I was shocked. I just believe under my annual salary, there was clearly larger than an amount that I was ever receiving written down. What? When I looked more closely at the tax withholding slip, on the piece of paper, it wasn't my name written on it. But in fact, it was actually Miss Karen's name on the slip. Miss Karen, what is this? I couldn't help but to raise my voice, and when the vice president heard it, she started to panic. Oh dear, so sorry, I made a mistake. It's this one here. This one is your tax withholding slip, Miss Paris. That's right. This woman had made the mistake of handling her daughter's tax withholding statements to me instead of mine. The vice president was forcing a fake laughter as she handed me my tax withholding statement. But there's no way that I was going to be fooled like that. Ma'am, what is this about? Does that mean that you're paying Miss Karen a salary? And not only that, but this much more than what you're paying me? Well, that's... The vice president was panicking as her eyes started swimming around. The CEO was standing right next to her, so I decided to bite at him next. Sir, so you were paying a salary to Miss Karen, to the person who always comes in here just to get an allowance from you, who doesn't do any work around here at all. Until now, no matter how many times I've begged you to raise my salary, you always said that the business is difficult and refused. Meanwhile, you have the ability to pay an unemployed person who doesn't even do any work here a very high salary.
We feel terrible about this to you, Miss Paris, but...
Don't feel terrible about it. This must be a joke. You use me left and right with this low salary, and yet you fools kept me strapped here. There's no way I'm going to continue working for a company like this. I was furious. However, when I said that, the CEO gave me an unexpected response.
Sure, you're right. I guess we have no choice. Well then, we're going to make our daughter Karen work at this company. So to give her your job, we'll need you to quit.
Huh?
You're the one who can't accept that my daughter, who's not working, is receiving a salary, right? And I was just starting to be troubled by the fact that my daughter wasn't independent yet. If Karen starts working at this company, Then it solves the issue of the salary, and it'll also be helpful for my daughter's independence. This is the meaning of 2 birds, 1 stone.
Oh, I've had enough! What do you think that your employees are? Honey, that's a great idea. You're right. We should have Miss Paris quit the company. And as long as Karen joins, then she can just do Miss Paris's job anyway.
That's true. So our daughter's going to start this company in your place. So you need to quit.
The CEO was smiling from ear to ear as he said that to me. Standing next to him, Vice President was smiling. So I also laughed and replied, "Sure, gladly."
Huh?
You say that you want me to quit this company for your daughter, right? In this case, I will do exactly as you wish. Well, since you are asking me to resign under company circumstances, I will need a grace period of 30 days. In that case, during that time, I am going to use up all of the paid vacation time that I've been accumulating over the last 10 years.
What? Wait a minute, Miss Paris. Not so suddenly.
What? But you're the one that just told me to resign, sir. Well then, thank you for the last 10 years. I started humming as I quickly gathered up my personal belongings, and even though the CEO and Vice President looked like they wanted to say something, I ignored them, and I skipped out of the office. With this, I'm free! Goodbye to these days of being used at such a low salary. Around the time that 3 months passed since I resigned from my former company, I suddenly got a phone call from the CEO.
Miss Paris, you have to help us!
Oh dear, sir, what's the matter? I don't work for your company anymore, though.
I'm sorry. I will apologize properly, so please come back to the company.
It was exactly as I expected. Although honestly, I thought that this phone call might come a lot sooner.
Ever since Karen entered the company, she's been completely useless. All the administrative work is a disaster, and we don't know what to do about it. All of the material that you've been looking after until now, we don't even know where any of it is anymore.
But even if you say that to me, there's nothing I can do. I always organized my material well enough that it didn't require an explanation, and any normal person would be able to figure out by taking one look at that.
And yet we can't figure it out, and that's why we're in trouble.
The CEO is often out of the office on external meetings, so he had left all the administrative duties to me. And the vice president only knew about the company accounting and nothing else. All the other employees were in sales, so I'm sure they were in trouble.
It's not only that. Suddenly, the companies that we were working with said that they were going to terminate their contract with us. But we just got a notice from the tax department that they have some questions for us too. We don't know where to even start.
Looks like the seeds that I planted around were finally starting to blossom all over. Is that so? Well, that must be a handful. Your phone calls from your clients in the tax department. Is that so? Looks like it took quite some time.
Huh?
I'm sorry. Unfortunately, I can't go back to that company. That's because I've already transferred over to another company. By the way, the company that I've transferred to is actually one of your partner companies that I've been placing orders with you over the years.
What?
Well, because I was fired due to company circumstances, I had to find a new job in a rush, and then when I went to the unemployment office, that Klein company had just put out a job listing. When I explained to them during the interview why I resigned from my previous company, well, it turned out to be quite the problem.
What?
Because anytime you go into an interview, they always ask you the reason for resigning from your previous company. And so I told them exactly why I was fired, and I made sure to explain it all in detail to make sure that they could properly understand what happened. And during the interview process, the person in charge of our company contract, who I'd spoken with a number of times, guaranteed that there were no issues with my work ethic. So perhaps they might have deduced that the problems were all on the company side?
No way. So that's the reason they terminated our contract?
Oh, please. Of course that's not the only reason, because ever since I left, they said that none of the work was getting done properly or on time. Even though she's my colleague now, the person in charge of your company was really frustrated. She said that ever since the administrative contract became Miss Karen, she said that the business was a joke. Deadlines were delayed, the required paperwork wouldn't arrive, and even when it did, it was full of typos and missing information. And first of all, she could barely get a hold of anybody, and whenever she would make a complaint, the Mrs. Karen would get angry in response. Anybody would terminate a contract with that!
No way.
Oh, and did you say you also got a call from the tax department? That also might be because of me. What a mess. How so sorry.
What? What? But how?
To tell you the truth, the building next door to the unemployment department is the tax department. So silly me. When I was walking towards the unemployment office, I made a mistake and walked into the tax department. When I walked in, I described in detail why I was out of a job, and that was when he informed me that that wasn't the unemployment office, but it was the tax department. Oh, silly me. I'm so clumsy.
But what does that have to do with us?
So listen, are you familiar with Corporation Tax Law Article 34?
Corporation Tax Law Article 34?
Well, in correct terms, it's actually Corporation Tax All Article 34 and the Order for Enforcement of the Corporation Tax Law Article 70. Well, to explain it to you simply, any salary that is paid to a board member or an employee who hasn't contributed to the business cannot be considered as an expense to the company. Miss Karen hasn't contributed to the business at all, and yet she was receiving a very high salary. You were considering that as an expense and maintaining low profits to keep your taxes low, but in reality, because her salary can't be considered a business expense, apparently that becomes tax evasion!
Tax evasion?!
Well, I wonder how much your additional tax will be over the years, because you've been misreporting these numbers over multiple years. If they deem that it was with malicious intent, you'll probably get hit with a heavy additional tax. Looks like the vice president's gonna have her hands full with more accounting calculations. Please wish her good luck for me.
Please, wait. If that were to happen, then what's going to happen to our company? If things don't go well, we might go bankrupt.
Even if things do go well, you'll probably go bankrupt anyway, but that's none of my business anymore because, well, I'm somebody that you fired anyway. Well then, I need to get myself to work now, so all the best to you. Goodbye.
Wait, please, Miss Paris, we need you!
That CEO was still begging, but I ignored him and hung up the phone. Oh, that felt so good. What I heard after that is that the company that I used to work at collapsed soon. They were hit with an enormous additional tax from the tax department, and most of their partner companies terminated their contracts. All of the employees that were also left got tired of it, and one by one they resigned, and so it seemed that they had nobody left and no business to run. They had to let go of the business, and they were left with only debt pay, and I heard that the former CEO and his family all had to get part-time jobs to make ends meet. Well, with this, Miss Karen was now stuck in an environment where she had no choice but to work, so perhaps this is going to be useful for their daughter's independence. As for me, I am working very hard at my new company. Compared to my previous career, I also have a higher salary, and so this is the beginning of my real career. I'm going to keep working hard for another 10 years and hopefully continue to go higher. Thank you for watching! What kind of crazy people will we get to see next? Stay tuned for more!